Do you get frustrated by your team members when they submit their reports, they complete projects, they finish their tasks, and it wasn't to the same level of standard that you told them or that you actually wanted? Now, you know what this means, don't you? You are now, if it's not up to standard, you now are going to spend your time of an evening to correct all the mistakes before then the report or the task or whatever it is that gets submitted to your boss. And if you don't, you're going to get it in there from your boss, right? So you're stuck in between this situation. This is such a common problem that I see from managers that I coach. And, it leads to increased stress, it leads to higher workloads, it leads to missed deadlines. And, more often than not, it's around that, it just ends up with shoddy work. And then potentially you could just say, look, this person's not up to standard. I need a new person on my team. Let's get rid of them. Fear not. I'm going to show you today a really simple model to use that you can integrate straight away within everything that you do when you're talking about delegating to your employees. And we talked about delegation before. This is the bigger picture, right? So, but it involves from you as the manager to slow down, to speed up, and to prepare for whatever it is that you're going to delegate, to make sure you're getting everyone in alignment. Okay. So you need to slow down to speed up, essentially. As managers, we move at pace and we have a million things on our plate at the same time. We're anticipating roadblocks, challenges. We're getting deadlines and other people's work coming in all the time. So we're always so far ahead. We're like 5 steps ahead of your team members. So we give them a job and we just expect your team members, because you recruited them and train them, just to get on with the task. Just execute, get it done, no questions asked. That's not the case more often than not. So remember these 3 components, okay? You need to brief effectively, you need to monitor their progress, and then you need to debrief them on the project, the task, the report, whatever that you want them to do. Now let's dive into these components individually. Let's look at briefing. You need to prepare this in advance. I'm going to cover this in the next video because I've got a really great acronym that we used in the military called SMEAC, in which you're going to brief them on all aspects of what you want them to do, okay? But essentially what you need to do is clearly identify the critical success factors within there. You need to demonstrate what is required, let them know what the standard is of the work that's required, identify any critical points, maybe that's stakeholders or customers, and highlight any expected challenges, any solutions, but you need to really brief it and then check understanding. The SMEAC brief in the next video, it will go through this in detail and give you a really good head start on the whole briefing part. The second part is monitor, and you need to observe your team members from a distance, okay? And you need to provide them feedback and a little bit of guidance along the way, but this should be pretty minimal. A really good brief should have identified what their areas of responsibilities are, and then it's your opportunity then to just keep them in their lane. Failure is okay, obviously, depending on the consequences. If it's $20 million, then I'd probably take that responsibility off a little bit for you as a manager to have the final say, just to ensure that they're trained up first before you give them that massive responsibility. Observe, provide feedback to them, and you can do this via one-on-one catch-ups, team meetings, ad hoc check-ins, not check-ups. The top tip when we're looking at all of this is to ask questions, not to solve the problem for them. And some of the questions are, well, what do you think you could do to solve this situation? What do you think? What are your thoughts on this? What are some of the solutions that you could come to? So it's asking those what questions because they're higher power questions. This, again, in the monitor phase is a chance for you to measure and adjust the standard. So you've identified the standard in a brief. Now you're going to use some measurements along the way. It's really easy within project management because at the end of phase 1, this is where we should be at. Here are the measurables. Are we there? Yes or no? In phase 2, have we done the same? Now you can do this within any project. What I would, when you're looking at this holistically, is if you have a deadline of Friday, then I would make sure that your team members are submitting it to you on Wednesday afternoon at the very latest. So it gives you at least a day to have a look through and then send it back for them for any alterations. The final phase. Now, this is around debriefing. After the job has been completed, then it's an opportunity and it's the time really for feedback. And this is focused on, really important, this is focused on performance and it's focused on outcome. Have we successfully delivered the project, the report, the task? Everything in this phase has to be owned by you, the person giving the feedback. It's all observable, it's all evidence-based. And you know, this is one of the most, if not the most, missed opportunity to build capability within your team. We're always complaining that we haven't got people that are up to task, but how do we actually build that? And you build it by giving them opportunities and then debriefing them, asking the questions: what went well, what didn't go so well, what are you going to do differently next time? Let me give you some feedback on your performance. You were here, we needed you to be here. These are the 3 things that you're missing. And then asking them, okay, as a result of completing this project, what are you going to start doing that you're not already doing? What are you going to stop doing that you've done that didn't work out? What are you going to continue to do that you're already doing into the next project? And you need to align all of this within their development plan. That's how you're going to build and train capability. By taking this approach, by briefing effectively, by monitoring from afar and providing feedback, and by wrapping it all up in the debrief, you're going to ensure that your team members are continually trained and upskilled, and they're going to be capable of completing all the tasks that you need them to do. It gives you, the manager, a mechanism for giving and receiving feedback and checking in to ensure, and the bottom line is to ensure that your team members are delivering exactly what you wanted when you wanted it to the required standard. So take it away, use it in your next briefing. So brief the task, monitor it, observe feedback, and then give some feedback around that whole debrief. You're going to reap the rewards 100%.